afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Jack Divino coming to you on a Friday, and I am having a little fun. Where's the black strat? Says somebody here. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Just enjoying this Olympic white bad boy with the rosewood fingerboard. I don't know why. It's just been it's been calling to me more than Senor Black A. The action is a little higher on this guitar than on the black one, and I've really been enjoying that. It's got a slightly, this girl likes to be treated a little rougher than the black guitar. So I don't mind hitting this one because of the higher action. It has nice big jumbo frets and a Brazilian rosewood fingerboard and slightly higher action. Same pickups as the black guitar though, and roughly the same weight. And it's, I don't know, I think this might be ash, I'm not sure. I didn't order this or whatever, but I guess I could check. And a slightly fatter neck. And so it's just been, this has been the guitar that's been kicking around. The black strat's still in the case from the last gig. So, but thank you. Oh, it's Justin actually asking. Hey, that's my boy. What's up, homie? Love catching these from, was that jam in F? No, that jam was in C. So we're in C. All right. And we're going to talk about how to get good. That's what I'm here to talk to you about. So many people give a shit about, you know, learning their scales and their modes and all that stuff. That is all true. You do need to know scales and modes and all this stuff. But once you've actually got some scales under your belt, or under your fingers is more likely. You don't. Hopefully, you've got all you need under your belt. But I've got too much above my belt these days. Woo! All right. So look. We've been talking an awful lot about, you know, pentatonics and, you know, versus the major scale and all sorts of stuff. And they're not at war. It's just, you know, there's so much space within the pentatonic sound to actually fill it in and declare, like, moments of various colors. So, like, from a pentatonic, you know, area of, say, I'm talking major pentatonics, but if I am thinking about these notes here, I can now, from there, I can quickly imply Mixolydian by going, all right, or I can go straight to the major. Okay, or I can get Lydian sounds. Sorry, that would be right. That kind of sound. Now, granted, the loop that I have set up is clearly more like an American happy. It's like a happy. It's a brighter funk sound. There's still a little flat third in there going. Okay, but there's no flat seven. And in fact, the bass line and that you're hearing is 6 to the root, right? So root, 6, 5, root. So the loop itself is actually implying more of a major pentatonic sound. But there's nothing stopping you from taking that lick right there and learning how to add that Mixolydian color or that. Still bright, but bluesy. I can make it, you know, that's kind of bluesy. Right, so see how I'm adding things to the major pentatonic. Probably starting most notably with that flat third. Learn how to do that. right, so some of you might be wondering what's happening here. That's the 5, the flat 5, the 4, and then coming around into the 3rd, okay? It's like a little enclosure. And it sounds really nice in conjunction with that major pentatonic, right? Now I'm adding flat 7s. Occasional chromatic, okay? So that's really the secret to getting good is don't fuck around, all right, with chord progressions yet. Don't do that. Just set up a nice, big, cushy C groove. That's what this is, okay? I'm just going boom, 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 boom. I think the bass is going boom, boom. Actually, I think I'm actually omitting the flat 7 in the bass line. So boom, boom. Just something bouncing and having fun. It's kind of funky, and at the same time, you know, we're not really. I'm not working specific licks so much as how to create a sound that works over top of this kind of flatline generic C major but bluesy sound. This is the sound that is eluding 90% of the players I meet. All right. And it's definitely stems out of my awareness of bluegrass and country music. And at the same time, it's much funkier and sassier and bluesier than that. So it's kind of a nice hybrid of those styles that, you know, I like to listen to. It definitely, you know, a lot of funk happening here, actually. All right, it's a little R&B, a little Motown-y, kind of, you know, it's kind of almost like Hard to Handle and like from the Grateful Dead, but in the key of C, but with no flat 7. So it's a slightly more forgiving palette, right? We can access both the happy-go-lucky, that one with the major 6th in there, right? Or we can bring in the flat 7. All right, I'm playing out of the C chord again. So you can try experimenting with sliding into some notes. I'm sorry, you know, I'm just trying to fuck around with chromatics. But by and large, I'm thinking about things like, right, that major sound, and then I toughen it up a little bit by adding the occasional flat 3. Well, let's see if there's anybody has any pertinent questions to what we're talking about here. I mean, Terrapin, Justin again saying that the flat 3rd and flat 5 2-string bend thing is pretty cool. Yeah, so let's talk about that, okay? So if we look at the flat 3rd, we're in the key of C, right? So here's our C chord. So this is our root, that's our 3rd, and that's our 5th. If we come 1 fret flat and go and bend them both. I assume that's what Justin's talking about. So all we have to do is just kind of form this little paddle, this little unit that's kind of welded together. These two, this shape shouldn't move. Don't let the the ring finger outpace. Okay, move them at the same time and move them together. And the trick is don't push from the ring finger, push the ring finger up with the middle, and just listen to the middle finger. Even start by just playing that, just the B string. Okay, and then we just. Okay, that sound right there, I do really like that. Now the cool thing is that you can take that same technique and you get a 2-for-1 on this lick, right? You can do this up 3 frets. So we were shooting for this from here. So if we go 1, 2, 3, sorry, 1, 2, 3 frets up to here to the 10th fret, do the same thing again. We get the flat 7 and the 5th. Right, so that's kind of a Billy Gibbons move, right? Thing to be able to know about. All right, so getting those 2-fingered, obviously it comes in handy for other moves as well. The same little shape, if you bring it up here, 1 fret below the root, we can get a very sweet sounding kind of pedal steel effect, right? Up here, right? We can just bend 1 note. It's kind of the same idea. Okay, now we'll get back on the sweeter sounding pickup, right? Now you'll notice that I'm not worried about doing anything other than exploring the key of C and all of its implicit, all the sounds that I can imply. The idea here is not, am I trying to resolve to the root note at the end of, well, certainly that's one of the three sounds that I'm looking to resolve to. Yeah. All right. And so going over and over and over again through the pathways that exist on the guitar to kind of, so it was Coaster Cook asked, am I shooting for the root? And the answer is sure, why not? And then, you could always look for other sounds. If you want to leave something sounding unresolved at the end of a line, thus necessitating you to continue, right? You can do that. That's what Jeff Beck was really good at. So he would be like, still haven't really resolved until. So depending on how close those roots are, the more resolution you're going to sense, right? I mean, resolution is in the eye of the player, I guess. But by and large, yeah, I'm shooting for roots, thirds, and fifths, and the occasional pause on a stressed note. But very rarely will I go and just end on the 9. Right? It wants to go and complete itself. So, that's the problem with scales for most players, is that they think that all the notes in the scale are like points of resolution, but they're not. You've got 3. I'd say this to most students if they stay with me long enough, they hear me tell the same stories. Sorry for the old man repeating himself vibe, but look, if we've got a C chord here, right? We've got 3 winners. That's it. So what are you fucking around with 7 notes for? The odds are stacked against you. There's 4 losers. So if you're going to pick a loser to exclude, why not pick one of the ones that kind of makes it impossible for you to, play the wrong note, right? So that's why pentatonics are great. Let's say that this was didn't have that little sixth in there, right? Let's say it was just a 1 and a 5 that were being implied. Well, we could still play pentatonics with a flat third. And by adding in the occasional flat 7, we can kind of lean towards a Mixolydian sound. If we add a major 7th in there, we're leaning either towards the major sound, Ionian, or towards. And if we put the flat 5 and the sharp 4 rather, and omit the perfect 4, we're definitely going to be creating that Lydian sound. Now, Lydian over top of this sounds kind of like odd to me, but it's not wrong. It's just kind of not part of this sound means one thing to most people. When they hear the Lydian sound of this, they don't really, that doesn't really. But that note isn't a bad note per se. It's just not really used this isn't a Lydian sounding progression. This sounds much more to me like major pentatonic flat 3, or bluesy. mix them both together, and that's what I kind of, that's the kind of super scale that I tend to utilize. So what pickups am I using in both strats? Okay, somebody's asking. These are virtual vintage Strat pickups. So Marzio makes these. These are kind of outdated. These are not in fashion. This is not the latest and the greatest technology, though they still make them. I tend to find them to be more my speed, and my rig is kind of set up to respond to them, and so am I. You know, I'm an old creature of habit. So, hey, old man set in his ways, coming to you, right? I have yet to find anything that suits my needs as well as these, and I've tried. The newer versions are referred to as Air, all right, or something like that. So they're called, like, I forget what they're called, but these are the virtual vintage, not the other series that they make that are called like the 61 and the 67 and the 57 with all the different. No, this is before, when they first started making the stacked. They have like a ghost coil underneath it, like a dummy coil. So basically, some of the high end disappears, so they're a little darker and a little hotter than your average. Okay. But that suits me fine because I set up my rig for my 335, plug in the Strat, and I don't have to turn up the trebles particularly. The Strat still sounds really, really bright and crispy. So I love them. This is the heavy blues in the neck pickup, and this is just the blues model, and then this is the virtual solo, I believe. It's kind of a hotter, more P90 voiced bridge pickup, so it has like a very cool, like, you know, if I brighten it up all the way. You know, very surfy if I want it, or I can roll it back like where I normally put it in case I hit more gain. I like the clarity that this offers, but I like to be able to roll it down all the way. And then just brighten it up a little bit. I usually will do this little thing on the G string. I'll go like, and once I hear the high end come up, that's about it. And the trick is to find just a slightly muted. Anyway, I do love the sound of these pickups. They sound a little more studly than your average pickups. They're a little bit more beefcake to them. They're bright and sizzly, so if you're not careful, you know, things can get out of hand. But you kind of have to be a responsible steward of the high end of a guitar like this. But other than that, you know, like I don't really I watch the high end on the bridge pickup of the 335. I tend to run a bright rig and dull it down from the guitar. So that way the point being, like, why do that? Some people might ask. And the point is, I want the neck pickup to always have like enough clarity to it where I can hear it kind of sound like. Right, I want it to have that. And then if I want it darker from there, I can just back it down. Anyway, kind of fun for that Hendrix thing. What do we got here? Such sweet playing. Keith, I really appreciate the comment. Love to listen to you play, man. I love to play for you, and I love to teach. So where's the black strat? Okay, so we're back to somebody saying happy to keep it live here for you guys. What do we got here? Other questiones. Any hard Bobby songs you've recognized Jerry players have a tough time soloing over? Yeah, sure. Let's talk about how to solo over the last little bit of Looks Like Rain. That's a great example, right? So, we're dealing with that part in the song where we've got, what is it? What is that? That's right, sorry. Right, so then it's F sharp minor, back there again like that. Now B7. All right, then we have another. That part's pretty hard to deal with. Then we're coming down here, and here's where things get really difficult, right? We have E, F sharp, B, diminished, C sharp minor. That little bit, right? So E. That part is death to most guitar players. They don't know how to do something like that, okay? So that's usually a function of not having enough arpeggio knowledge. So if you start out by going... right? Looking at an E chord, F sharp 7, B, diminished, C sharp minor, F sharp minor, right? So then you need to learn. That kind of thing. So that last little bit of Looks Like Rain is really difficult to solo over. Believe it or not, I actually think that doing the solo in Cold Rain and Snow is actually pretty cool and pretty hard because it has a bar of 5 in it. That little. That little part is tough, and then the harmony, is kind of difficult, but that's not really a bobby song per se, I suppose. That's kind of a tough thing for a lot of people because it's kind of like odd meter for that little thing, you know. The side question: what's the ultimate bobby song or songs that, when done properly, solidifies them as good rhythm player? Good luck with. I mean, Terrapin is a great example of Bob's rhythm prowess. So too is, the what do you call it? I think his playing on that, or you could look at Lost Sailor. That's pretty great. You know that what is that? That tune with those crazy. That whole business. You've been too long at sea, and then you get that. That's some really out shit. Or just keeping up the interstellar spacey shit on a good playing in the band jam or something like that. There's a lot of great bobby stuff. You know, working with Mickey over the last month has been really pretty fun. I got to say, just learning just a couple of the more intensive Bob parts. And honestly, one of the ones that is most elusive to many of the guitar players that you'll end up working with is just the standard. That's really kind of hard for a lot of players. All right, so I'll take you up on that. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, Cheat, are you the one of the guys who does like transcriptions? I'm so sorry to ask. I think I've heard that their senior name. You know, there's a cat who's been doing like Bob stuff. You know, like. 1, 2, 3, and. All that kind of stuff. Super fun. Don't forget the Chuck Berry rhythm on One More Saturday Night. That'll make a man out of you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just playing that little lick, the in lockstep with another guitar player can be pretty challenging. And then just getting the... I kind of squished both parts together. But just getting the steady rock and roll rhythm stuff together is very tough. What do we have? Amazing tone. Interesting to see how you use your volume and tone knobs to work around the pickups. Yeah, the trick a lot of the times is like how, well, my guitar is set up without a typical thing now. It used to be that this is the way all guitars came, where by turning down the volume, the guitar got darker, right? So if you're on the neck pickup, for example, and you play, right? Sorry, let's get the tone controls. Right? I'll even go cleaner. Okay, so let's say I'm doing like a... And I'm finding it to be just a little spitty, you know, like if I want it to be on the neck pickup with the tone all the way up, and I want to turn down the volume, I want to turn down the high end, a way to do that is not to actually touch the tone knob, but to touch the volume knob. And that way you can lean into the guitar a little harder. Right? That kind of sound. So. Right. it's really nice to be able to mellow it out. And at the same time, by making it quieter, you get to lean in a little harder, as opposed to if I was tackling that on 10, but rolled down the trebles from the pickup to achieve the same thing. It's just going to be louder and bassier. So I can't really lean in, get my whole body behind it. So if you just kind of reconfigure these knobs to kind of reflect that you want the treble roll off to happen from the volume knob. And that way you can find that kind of nice. And if you want to add more brightness, just add in another pickup that's further, like closer to the bridge, right? Now there will be some phase cancellation, so it'll get a little thinner. Right, if we come back down here. Bridge pickup is now being involved, so you can do the same thing with the you can think is the bridge pickup all the way on 10. Right, but still, if I had that all the way up on 10 now, that slappy stuff starts to come through. But when you do that, and then if you bring the pick over the the fingerboard extension, you get the real Bob Weir shit. This. He loves that type of thing. So working with Mickey Toop for the last month or two has been really helpful for me, just in terms of upping my Bobby game. Not that I do that stuff, but man, I love knowing what the hell's going on inside of some of these songs. All right. It's a scary good tone for Death Don't Have No Mercy. Oh, yeah, I guess I just went right to it there. You're saying it's an amazing tone. Funny enough, this is like line level. Like, I think it sounds so much better coming out of the speaker, but I can't really do that and have clarity like a punchy voice. So in order to balance the voice and not have the compressor kind of constantly kicking on and off that happens on the iPhone, you know, I utilize this line level rig in this, but the speaker obviously sounds even mo better. Victim or the Crime has got some amazing does actually have some amazing chords. I'm trying to think of some other, but I mean, Bob Weir's songs are crazy. They're awesome. They're significantly more complex than Garcia songs, though, usually. Though I tend to be more drawn to the work of Jerry Garcia, though. And I guess a side question, but what's the ultimate Bobby song or song that, when done properly, solidifies them as a good rhythm player? Okay, we already tried to talk about that. Take That Upon Me. Aha, that's me. Okay, so by the way, is it Archit or Archit? I'm not sure. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Down with the. I assume you're of Indian heritage, and down with Indian heritage. The idea of your guitar sound is really, really. You've got a great tone going on with that. I saw you do like a live version of doing that rag thing, where they're actually in a different key. Like they're doing. Right, they've taken it up a whole step, so it's like kind of a mishmash of these other things. Really, really interesting tone you had going on that. You have like a 335, or maybe it's an Epiphone, like inspired by kind of guitar. Anyway, dynamite sound, bro. I thought it sounded perfect for what you're up to, and I think you've got the thing I'm talking about, where you're kind of picking over the fingerboard extension to get that slight little, when we hear that little, that kind of slightly, where it sounds a little compressed and squishy. I have too much sparkle and reverb on my sound generally for that, but it is what it is. My favorite era for Bob is definitely still the early 70s stuff. Yeah. Archit? Okay, got it, man. Thanks, dude. No, you've got a good thing going on for sure. I see you on YouTube. Or not YouTube, what do we call it? Oh, you're on Facebook. That's right. I see your stuff through like the Grateful Dead like fanboy pages that I'm a member of. Really was digging and enjoying some Cold Rain and Snow lately. Actually, that kind of with a little grind on it. That kind of thing happening behind Bob doing that. That big, thick kind of sound of the... Always with that third in the low, like on a kind of Wind Cries Mary sound. I just always loved that on the 335. Just sounds so good around 1971, 72. Like it starts getting a little weird in 74. And then by the time we get to, you know, what is that? Things are really kind of thin and scronky with a little phase on, like that kind of sound. But whatever. Bob Weir's a fucking genius. Love that guy's playing. It's just so cool. Never see it coming. You don't know it's there until you take it out, and then you're like, oh my God, how'd you come up with that, bro? You know, it's just so sweet and clever, right? So. What is it? I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy guitar. Like, who the fuck is playing like that? Nobody. It's really, really impressive. Okay, so I was super happy. Anyway, back to what I came here to talk about: how to get good and how to get good fast. Right? Figuring out what you're going to work on. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to come to practice with a mission. All right, tonight I'm going to work on how to get like an aggressive bluesy kind of sound over top of this groove. I'm going to get a sound that... Right, so minor pentatonic with a major third. Right, so that's going to be... That's kind of the order of the day, right? Once you have it in the home area right here, this is everybody's favorite, you know? Maybe you want to even take it down a little bit. A little sweeter, right? All right, messing around with... Right, that flat 7, that's the key to making it sound tough bluesy. Start adding in that 6, you're going to get that kind of slightly sweeter sound. That's that 6, right? Still adding that flat 3 with the bend up to the 3rd, right? Right, but I never quite make it. Just kind of imply, right? We're going... Right, if you don't know about that, the raised flat 3rd, I call them directional thirds. It's kind of a directionally bending sound that stops before it reaches its intended goal, generally. I mean, granted, you can bring it around and make it end in tune, right? can't do is just have it go and have it sound good, all right? It needs to be heading someplace. Even if it's slowly, right? It just have to be... Getting that together is probably the single most important thing you could do to play rock music with a sweeter bluesy edge. Okay, so I'm in control, right? Right, flat 7. Added the 6. So, you can think of a melody to a song that uses both the 6 and the 7 so you can get really comfortable with what they sound like, right? So if we did... By the time you get comfortable, you can start adding fully blown chromatic shit and just worry about playing strong notes on strong beats. And that's really all I'm doing ultimately, is every note is good. Every note is a good sound. You can use all 12 tones at all times. The distinguishing factor between it sounding good and sounding bad is time. How long you spend on it and where in the beat it is. So on a strong beat, strong notes. Weak beats can sustain weak notes. For how long, that is a sliding scale depending on the genre that you're working in and your own abilities to kind of navigate your lines. So like the more adept you are at managing dissonance, right? That's a good thing. So like let's take a look at just a couple of ideas here, right? Let's look at this note, okay? Flat 5. That's the first dissonant note to really learn how to work with. So we're in the key of C. So root 3, 5. Let's come back here and just kind of live on that. Right? Let's kind of internalize that stinkiness. Right? If you're old like me, you'll remember Maria, right, from West Side Story. But if you're young, you'll probably remember The Simpsons, right? So all we need to do really is kind of hear how it's used in our language, right? So if we go... Okay, you can hear I'm kind of introducing it earlier and earlier in the phrase. It could be like a gliss, or it could go... Just by doing this, learn. Just by doing, right? to get into the licks you already know and try to learn how to use that dissonant note on its own, okay? Can I speak more about hitting strong beats? Yeah, sure. So you're hearing Brian Harrell says, or Brian Harrell, I'm not sure how to say your last name there, sir. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I'm sure I'm butchering it. You're saying that tone. I'm shocked. I mean, it's just a middle pickup on a Strat. Literally, there is no tone control. So tone's kind of, most of it's right hand. Most of it's having your right hand kind of aware of where it is on the throttle. Well, it's a huge part of getting a sound that sounds clean. I want to hear the texture of the pick on the wound strings. So sometimes I'm not even using the tip, well, just the tip. I'm not using the tip so much as brushing the side. Now I'm hamming it up right there, but you'll see that there's going to be some times where I'm kind of going. And I want it to sound kind of tactile. I want it to be like really. So that was a strong beat right there. So if I'm doing boom, boom, those are strong beats. Boom, 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 boom. Right? So you want to think about where your body weight would come down if you were dancing. Right? If you can't get laid by the way you're dancing, you know, it's just gonna be hard to make music. See how I'm dancing inside the rhythm. Right? You want to get loose and at the same time be deep in that fucking pocket. The best way to do that is to commit your body to the beat. Okay? So if you aren't moving while you play, chances are you're never going to get your right hand to go down on the strongest beats and get aligned with that. That is the most important part of this, is to understand that so much of the note choices, okay, fine, note choices from the neck up, note timing from the waist down. Oh, you want some of that. You need like, it has to be power. It has to have some sort of nuts. Even when you're playing quietly, right? So if you can experiment with picking pressure, like watch, I'm gonna go through various levels of gain just through, I'm not using my feet to create the gain, I'm using my right hand. Sounds a little thicker usually. Okay, so by learning to commit your body to the music, you will almost invariably, once you engage these bigger muscles of your legs and your ass and your torso and you're kind of moving, it's almost impossible for your right and left hands to move out of time. That's kind of the point. Everybody's sitting here starting their motion where they're supposed to finish it. You should be finishing at your hands, but beginning with your body. Your body should be dancing. Like there should be a connection between you and the rhythm. If your entire body isn't committed to it, some part of it must be. And it's just easier for me. Pardon me. I mean, I don't suggest you get all like wild and peripatetic about it. You shouldn't be. I mean, if you're actually in the throes of if you're feeling passionate about what you're playing, fine. If the spirit moves me, let it groove me. I'll let that happen. But by and large, I'm kind of more of a tight but moving all the time while I'm playing. My right hand is the end of the line, right? It's the impulse comes from inside my entire body, and I'm listening to right? I'm playing drums while I'm playing guitar effectively. I don't think of the guitar as a melodic instrument first. I think of it as a rhythm instrument first. I think of it as percussion, right? And then I just assign pitches to the various notes, so I inherently know where the strong beats are because I've got my downstroke lined up with the downbeat of the music. And that's where good pocket sexy time music starts, in my opinion, and ends. Without it, you're hosed. So I didn't learn all this overnight, and I didn't learn it by myself. I had tons and tons and tons and tons of teachers. In particular, one really great teacher. And he wasn't an actual teacher, he was just a friend. But he and I spent lots and lots of time together playing funk with him telling me, nah, that sounds like shit. Nope, that still sounds like shit. And to be honest, he still could out funk my ass. I'm sure of it. I just haven't had the pleasure of having his company in a long time. And if any of you are ever available in the New Orleans area to go see a guy named Brian Gitkin play guitar, he plays with a band called the Pimps of Joy Time. And he also has his own little kind of world music kind of thing that he's been getting into for the last like decade or so. And suffice to say that he's equally terrifying there. It just isn't of all the wonderful things he can do on an instrument and sing, and he plays like 6 different instruments. He's just one of those natural musician guys. Anyway, if you get a chance to see anything that Brian Gitkin is associated with, he's to me, he's like butter. He just makes everything feel better and taste better. It's just so good. His music is pretty remarkable, I think. If you like funky rhythm-based music, he's really, really tied into the rhythm. And if you get him a little lit up and tell him, hey, crank that amp up, he might do some shit that will make you kind of freak out because he's somewhere between B.B. King and Angus Young and Billy Gibbons, and he's just terrifyingly soulful. He's just a great musician. Anyway, he's probably the guy that I think of the most when I think about where I learned how to do this kind of music, and oddly enough, or play music in general. Like he's like the single greatest influence in that element of my life. The guy who taught me to play guitar, Eric Horn, he's a beautiful cat too. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to play, and I don't know if he's even still alive. I've lost touch with him, unfortunately. And Eric was kind of a bigwig player in the northern New Jersey area. He studied under a guy named Chuck Wayne, and he played with Joe Pass and sat in with a bunch of other jazz kind of guys. And he taught me to be he taught me to play, and hold the guitar correctly-ish or whatever, how I hold it basically. So there's no real correct way. There's just ways that push you in certain directions, make certain things feasible and other things, untenable. But But what he really did was, just show me a tremendous amount of patience and kindness, and he was kind of like a guiding light for about 4 years, and then I ended up going off to school, and I took lessons twice a week from him for 4 years, and he was a big influence on just how the instrument works a little bit. Although, to be honest, I didn't really take it that seriously while I was doing it. At least my lessons with him, I took my time away from him quite seriously with the guitar, though. All right. Love those bluesy double stops, meaning like the bendy stuff, this kind of thing. That kind of. Well, that's a triple stop, but yeah. Off topic, but have I studied Larry Carlton's approach to superimposing triads? If so, do I ever apply it to dead style music? I'm not sure. This is Vincent Berry's question. First of all, I really do admire and respect Larry Carlton's music and contributions, both through his own work and the session work that he's done, and obviously being a devout 335 player for a better part of 30 years now. He's a huge influence, and I've done a fair amount of, Larry Carlton transcribing and stuff like that, because when I was growing up, I was an avid reader of Guitar Player magazine, and when they always asked about top 10 solos, like Kid Charlemagne was always one of them. And we're talking about 1983. In 1983, I was 13 years old. Steely Dan wasn't like a vibrant act at the time, or there was no real access to this type of stuff. So hearing about Steely Dan, yeah, we knew about some of it, but it was mostly holdovers on classic rock radio, and Kid Charlemagne wasn't really one of those songs that was there yet. I think they were mostly Reelin' in the Years and Hey 19 and stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, I love Larry Carlton, and if what you're talking about is utilizing triad pairs, then yes, obviously we can definitely talk about that. So the bluesy sound that I'm using right now, to continue down the road of answering your question, in my opinion, is not the best example about how to achieve that, how to use that sound. It's not that it's a bad methodology for playing. It's just that in certain idiomatic types of music, it sounds kind of. It's like the equivalent of looking at a porch in the South, where guys are hanging out and drinking like mint juleps, and they're in the South, and then all of a sudden there's some guy with a British accent. It just kind of sticks out a little bit. It's just it's not really part of the vernacular of this genre of music that we're talking about right now. But let's talk about how you can do it. It might sound a little off to you, but because we're playing over top of this groove, which can tolerate both the major sixth and the flat seven, right? So basically, right, if we take the approach that, let's say it's actually that I'm thinking of it more like a dominant chord. Okay, now a dominant chord typically implies that we're going to be utilizing our Mixolydian scale. Right, so that would be. And adding a flat third. And if we're smart, we can add a flat 5 too. That's kind of a big super scale. It's kind of, we've got the Mixolydian and the minor pentatonic and the major pentatonic, all kind of superimposed on top of one another. Now, that's one way of looking at that sound. The other way is to kind of limit it and say, let's just think about the Mixolydian, and let's trade triad pairs from the fifth, say this is the fifth mode of F, right? because it's the fifth mode, we know we have that B flat waiting for us up there. So that's the flat 7, right? So if we were to then take the triad pair that exists one mode behind us, the fourth mode, right, and put it next to it, we end up with 2 adjacent triads, right? All right, so B flat. That's me playing between 2 triadic pairs, right? Right, so if I see the B flat here, or right here, or right here, and here, and now we're repeating. If I can play those, that's what I associate with the triadic pairs. Now, that's 2 triadic pairs out of the key of F. Let's look at another key of F triad, okay? Let's look at the 7 chord. So in the key of F, we would go F major, right? Let's try G major, G minor, okay? Now, okay, so G minor over top of the C major groove is going to sound like... Sounds great. And what kind of minor is the G minor chord? It's functioning as the 2 chord in F, right? So F major, that's going to be F Ionian, right? Sorry, yeah, it would be... So if we play those same notes from G to G, we end up with G Dorian, right? So I'm playing G Dorian lines right now. All right, so obviously we could just do that, frankly, if you're in command of resolving to the, you're going to be resolving to the 5 a lot, you're going to be resolving to the 9 a lot, and you're going to be resolving to the flat 7 a lot if you aren't tailoring your lines to resolve back to C tones. But all of those sound really good, right? So sometimes you'll hear people talk about, well, if you solo over this, you'll have greater access to the extensions and color tones of a sound. And that is absolutely 100% the case. So, you know, if you want to get at some different types of tonalities, try superimposing different arpeggios from within the modes that you're playing out of. So don't forget, if we're treating this like it's C mixolydian, that's the 5th mode of F major. So what's the 7th mode of F major? Okay, the 7th chord in F major would be an E minor 7 flat 5. All right, so let's look at that shape. See, there's E minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so this arpeggio is played like this. accessing that, you're going to hear this sound. I brought it back home, but super fun, okay? And so it's by utilizing, multiple triads and arpeggios from within the modes that you kind of can start to really expand your knowledge base and increase your vocabulary and maybe, multiply your ability to play over this one chord sound in a more sophisticated manner, so that way it doesn't always sound like guitar licks, it sounds more like music. You love those bluesy double stops, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're back here. So Vincent Berry 49, I'm not sure whether or not I covered what you're after in terms of the Larry Carlton's approach to superimposing triads, but if we do that, enough over this one chord, you can definitely start to do that over top of multiple chord progressions. And to bring it all the way home to your question about do I ever do that in Grateful Dead music, I do it all the time. If you're interested in an example of me doing that with Grateful Dead music, look online. Look no further than the other one, solo lesson that I did about, 1,000 years ago, where it's me playing the black strat going, and I'm using all the modes and all the triads and all the arpeggios at my disposal that I know about. I tried to kind of be clever for that. Recorded a bunch of different licks and styles and approaches and things like that, and maybe you'll learn a little something from that. Otherwise, if you're interested in more of this kind of education and information and access to yours truly, well, then we can pivot to me, pitching you and telling you about my school, which, I absolutely adore teaching. It's super fun. It's like getting paid to do what you like to do the most and share it with eager, hungry minds. Makes me really happy. And I try to make sure that I still maintain a free presence on the internet, as much as I enjoy being compensated over with the students over at school, of which there are now, I think, 92, which is, wow. This has gotten out of hand, man. It's cool. I'm super stoked, and the funny thing is there's still room for more, and it's rolling admission in case anybody's thinking, oh, I missed the boat. No, it's not like there's only one enrollment period. You can duck in, duck out if you want, whatever. It's cool. There is a lot of information on tap there. So you've got me 24/7 basically at your disposal. I don't necessarily always answer in real time. Sometimes it takes me 24 hours to get back to people, but generally speaking, I'm your Huckleberry, and I teach live. I'm live 2 days a week, recorded 2 days a week, and 1 day a week here I am on Friday for you guys for free on the YouTube, but just the same. I'm not going to stop doing that, and I'm not taking down or changing the access to the 400 or 500 videos that already exist on the JackSnax for guitar YouTube channel. I love that thing, and I love you guys for tuning into it over the years and helping me be able to teach privately and actually have a voice in the community that cared for me so much. So I love Grateful Dead music, and I love taking care of it as well as the players that want to learn more about it. So I showed you what my understanding of what you would mean by superimposing triads. So obviously I ain't no Larry Carlton. I mean, Jesus, Larry Carlton is arguably one of the finest and most influential sounding guitar players of all time. I mean, whether it's the work of him in those bands or charting out the horns or being on doing television work or other session work. It's like so much of his work has probably gone unrecognized by you, me, and everybody. It's kind of like it's only in the last maybe 10 years that everybody realizes how important Steve Lukather was to music in the last half of the 20th century. Like Toto wasn't really much to listen to on its own, but when you thought about the fact that all of the band of Toto was what made the music that was on Thriller, it starts to make a lot more sense that everybody, in those bands was just high-end, holy shit, awesome guitar, great drumming. God damn it, the Porcaro's drumming is nuts. So you've got a lot of really talented people who are able to kind of breach the, pierce the veil of anonymity now. And Larry Carlton is, obviously... it's inside baseball for me. I'm a huge guitar nerd, so of course I know and love Larry Carlton's work, but not everybody has the ability to kind of see what Larry Carlton's up to, I guess. So yeah, I mean, the only real issue I have with Larry Carlton is like, he's got that really sweet ass 335, and he doesn't. I don't know if he's playing it anymore. I think he's actually slowing down a little bit. I heard him play, and I was like, oh wow, he's definitely lost a little oomph on his hands. What about superimposing minor pentatonics from the 2 or 5th over the 1? Absolutely. So let's take a look at that. That's easy enough to do. All right. So if we were to say, let's look at, okay, not only let's say we're over the 1 chord and we're playing C, right? So, right, that's going to just sound bluesy, right? But if we come to another part of the neck, now once we've established this as the sound, the move will sound kind of wackadoo. But if, let's say we were already playing that more, that kind of more developed, that's me playing the G minor chord. If I've already started bringing in extensions and more colorful and a slightly more jazzy voice, playing over the 2, right? So we were here over the 1 playing, but if we come up 2 frets, look at the notes we're going to be emphasizing. The sus4, the 9, the root, and the 6, and the 5, and the 4. So we're going to have a lot of the... Okay, so now we've already heard that 9 again. So if we're hearing it... I'm just going up and down like in a very boring way. I'm not using the notes in a way that's, particularly... Right, so if I'm thinking about it like, going, right, it's a bad note to resolve to. You've got to think about how to use this tool, but all these notes are great. So that's where you want to resolve. Things we don't get though is the 3rd. We don't really get the 3rd in here, so it sounds kind of extended and suspended to my ear. So a lot of times people will take that and play 4ths. With that. And a similar approach will work over top of this, over the G. This one, to me, is more to my liking, personally. G minor pentatonic. I messed up and hit one E. That sounded really good, but you know, the idea is you don't want to only do. So if I do fourths over here, it's going to sound again. Going to sound really nice. Okay. Now we could also do A minor. But that's just C major pentatonic, so that's not a big deal, right? F minor, never going to work. E minor, not going to work. So I wouldn't really look around too much further than that. You know, just like you hit upon the 2 and the 5, that's really where most of that technique can be applied. It's not. It's if it opens up a door to a room and you go into that room and explore it and you find something pleasant, take it. If it doesn't, don't be sorry. Don't be shocked. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. How long did it take for long-winded me to give you an explanation of that, right? Quite a while, I guess, maybe too long. The sound is a little undefined, but that's on purpose. Once again, though, think about where the context of this could work. This would work very well in like an open jam where you're looking for a more open modal sound, right? This is how Coltrane utilized that sound, okay? So when you're finding, if we're getting into something that had less of this kind of overt kind of, the kind of like earthy, funky, bluesy sound, and had a little bit more of that, that kind of more like ethereal and a little bit more, you know, undefined, right? Where we're using those. Right, those kind of. That kind of stuff, right? So that's kind of my take on that. So somebody here has written, it's amazing how much pentatonic is all we need. A big growth for this year has been returning to it and stopping with overcomplicating. Ryan, I couldn't agree with you more. To be honest, the pentatonic sound is often maligned as being, you know, too simple or whatever. But really, what it's not the pentatonic sound that you're frustrated by, or that people don't like. It's hack weasels playing the pentatonic scale in lieu poorly. Okay, that's like, you know, it's not fair to. It's not fair to malign the tool itself. It's the carpenter that's at fault here, okay? So, you know, in the right hands, pentatonics are terrifyingly beautiful and spectacularly effective. Talk to Aaron Copland. Talk to Eric Johnson. Talk to anybody who kicks ass on the guitar who uses pentatonics. They don't exclusively use them, but they are a foundational skill that if you don't have, you are going to be stuck with, in my opinion, a lot more error in your playing than you need, because there's this contention between the 7s and the 4s. Once we remove the 7 and the 4 from the 3 major modes, things open up in a way that really, that's the whole point behind like most of my initial push with one of my students, one of my studies that went kind of nothing I've done has ever gone viral, but has gained some traction is like a video called the Major Pentatonic Flat 3, The Secret to the Garcia Sound. Basically, it's debunking the use of the Mixolydian as the de facto Garcia sound. Now, granted, it does sound very good to use the Mixolydian scale a lot, or those voicings, right? But it's not actually being considered the Mixolydian scale a lot of the time. It's more like an adaptation of the major pentatonic, right? With that flat third, right? So then we got, all right? And then because we're often pumping to the 4 chord, it seems silly not to ask the 4 to come along. So then we get, and because we're often going to the 4, it's often nice to hear the flat 7 right before we do that. So now we have, and since we're doing that, we get a lot of bluesy sounds as well. So we get, and because we do that, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for us to do chromatically approaching into the root. So now we have, so now at this point, then maybe you're smart and you know about Stevie Ray Vaughan and you understand this whole, right? So if you do, then you're using the flat 2. Right, but I'm not really leaning on the flat 2 or on the flat 6 very much. But other than that, I'm really using the 1, the flat 7, the 6, the 5, the flat 5, the 4, the 3, the flat 3, the 2, and the 1, all over the place over top of this. So it's all about directionality and momentum, okay? So I can go, that's going to sound great. But if I do that backwards, it sounds like shit. So it's not acceptable to do that. So what we want to do is modify our system so to accept the directionality of the pitch going up from the flat 3 or down from it, but never or that does not sound nice to Daddy. Now, we've already accepted the idea of going right, chromatically coming up from flat 7 right into the root, right? But if I go, that doesn't make that note usable like in a way where I could use it as a resolution point. If I go, no, but I can go, or, so we already figured out the grammar around that note, right? Now the flat 5 is not really a point of resolution, but you can wait for a while on it and still have it sound good. Things got kind of hairy there, all right? So this is the way you go through and just kind of get good, is 1 chord loop, man. 1 chord loop. Don't fuck around. Let's pick another note. Let's figure out how do we make that flat 3 work. That's truly a flat third. It's not going anywhere. It's just laying there flat on its back. Let's make it lean up. That's right. That's where it's at. All right, now that's a trick that you gotta learn right there. leaving a little tension in the string. Going. I'm not all the way there, right? I'm not. I'm a little. And if you don't know about that, you should look up the video I did called the Clapton Third. Right, it's just a good lesson on how Clapton kind of does this. And if you keep the tension in the string and play with it anchored in a pre-tensed way, you get that kind of Jeff Becky. Okay, it sounds like more vocal. Watch. I'm already up, right? We can do the same with the flat 7. It doesn't have to be like, right? We can go, here I'm coming up. Not every note can tolerate being. Notes I'm not really fucking around with are the flat 2, which I would use if I was glissing up into the 2, right? Same from the sharp 5. I don't really like to lean on the 4. Too much. None of these are I mean, I know what I'm doing, but I'm just singing, to be honest. You know, if you haven't done what I'm about to do and embarrass myself in front of you, then you're missing an opportunity to grow as a musician, all right? Not only will it help you become more free-flowing about the concept of you looking cool in front of people, because I'm about to not look cool, I'm going to sing what I play and play what I sing. So, boom, ba, 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 da, ba, da. Doing that in my head while I play. I'm not really thinking direct lines. I'm just hearing sounds and saying, oh, that'll be good if I grab that. Oh, that'll be good if I grab that. Yeah, I know where all the notes are. That's 45 plus years of playing one of these things. But the way that you get there is by doing what we're doing, is singing and playing and becoming more coordinated with your ear, with what's coming out of your hands, right? If you're athletic, it's very easy to talk about hand-eye coordination, right? But musically athletic people, they have to have ear-hand coordination, right? Or hand-ear coordination as opposed to hand-eye coordination. All right, that would be something I would seriously suggest you look at, is taking a sound that you're familiar with or a scale that you're familiar with and foregoing your patterns and just try to sing what you hear in your head, or even better, maybe you go and you grab again, another video you might want to take a look at. I think it's if you just typed in JackSnax phrasing. And it's me playing around over top of Aretha Franklin's Chain of Fools, right? So another great tune in C. So it's a great opportunity for you to see how I learn from singers. If you don't use a Vidami, you should. This little device, very helpful. But if you have Transcribe or something like that, you can single out specific licks and loop them. Make sure you're in tune with it, and then try to slow it down and play the phrase exactly. So you'd be shocked at how out of tune the human voice is. And it doesn't mean it's out of tune in a bad way. It means it's, by being a little sharp or a little flat, it's kind of adding some tension, right, to the sound. And if you want to really sound vocal when you play, embracing that the sound is like a guideline. The frets are a guideline. It's not a hard and fast thing. So much happens once you actually hit the note in the fret. Am I going to push it a little sharp? All right. Am I going to come in a fret early, like a fret under the note I'm in, and then bend up into it? Because if you've ever seen me play, you know that so much, like I'll hit this and then go, and I'm bending up. I'm coming up underneath it. All right. My wife would cringe that I say, yep, I like to come in from behind. So a lot of bending up into the note. So pre-bending and assuming the right pitch. What you can do from here is a lot different than what you can do from right here, which is just go sharp. All right, I'm only going north of the pitch, right? Now that sounds nice. It's stinging, right? Right? That's got that. Using a lot of this approach tone bendy thing, all right, and it's a fun trick to do. All right, so anyway, love those stacked fourths. Yeah, so do I. All right, so Ryan Radcliffe Guitar 2, you couldn't be more correct in that the pentatonic is a great starting point. What I what I preach generally is what I call pentatonics plus. So what I'm doing usually is I'm going to say, hey, you got to learn how to grab the minor pentatonic and the major. And then blend them. And without that, you're kind of fucked. All right. And then from there, you've now got like kind of the centerpiece of most modern rock guitar playing, right? Is the mixing of major and minor pentatonics. And then if you become knowledgeable enough about the adjacent modes that you know want to be able to get at, then you start thinking, when I know that it's Mixolydian, I'm going to want to lean on those sounds, and when it's Lydian, I'm going to want to lean in on that kind of sound, which is really kind of otherworldly. If it's Dorian, I'm going to want to have right, and if it's major, we're going to right, which by the way, we can still be playing major in here, right? That's kind of a good sound too. It's not really where I usually put that. When I feel that kind of bouncy rhythm, I don't usually play that, but it's still there, okay? So, look, I've been on here for almost 2 hours. It's about all I've got time for, but I really do appreciate you guys chiming in here and the fact that there's 20 people here. So I'm going to ring the bell as your bartender here and say, last call. If you've got a question, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap things up. And if you don't have any questions, let me go. And if you do, I'll stick around and I'll answer. This is not a big deal. Most of the classes that I teach over in school are 2 hours long. I teach on Wednesday from 12 to 2 for beginners. And granted, anybody can come at any time, but generally speaking, the beginners go from 12 to 2. And then from 2 to 4, I teach the intermediate guys. And then from 4 to 6, I'm teaching the advanced players. But that's just usually where I start and finish on Wednesdays. Thursdays I have office hours for the students for 2 hours from 12 to 2. And then on Mondays and Tuesdays, there's a pre-recorded lick and song of the week lessons for you guys to onboard if you're curious. I'm just answering if anybody's curious about what's going on. And the other idea is that they're in the afternoons on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. There's additional curriculum that's available, but that's not included in the school. Those are like extra courses. That's like your Bob Weir master class that I'm doing with Mickey, or the Jerry Garcia 2.0 classes that I've been teaching pretty consistently since the start of the program. So that's a 16 class course that lasts for 8 weeks, where we delve into all the ideas that are central to the Garcia approach, and then cover maybe a handful of tunes, maybe 6 or 7 songs that kind of illustrate them in all their glory. And those are usually Jerry band tunes, because there's no Bob Weir parts to learn, so that removes like roughly half of the curriculum right there. So anyway, right now we're in the middle of what I'm calling Cowboy Camp, which is we've done Mama Tried, and we've done Mexicali, and we're going to be doing Me and My Uncle, Big River, and El Paso, and probably what's one other? I don't know. There's probably another song that Me and Bobby McGee. We'll probably do those tunes to kind of finish out the Bob Weir package that I did in his posthumous. Since his passing, we did kind of focus in on some Bob Weir material, and then we'll probably pivot back to doing Garcia stuff in about a month or a month and a half. But in the meantime, after Cowboy Camp, we're going to be touching on the acoustic sound of the Grateful Dead and doing a lot of Americana and folk stuff that you're going to hear coming from. Primarily, we're going to be focusing on the Reckoning album, but we may do some songs that are on, like American Beauty, and we'll definitely cover, like Friend of the Devil and stuff like that, done American Beauty style, and some other. There's a lot of great acoustic work on that, and also on Working Man's. So, anyway, that's kind of what's happening over at Snack School, and if you're into it, I think it represents pretty good value. But the truth of the matter is, if you're interested in free guitar lessons, there's plenty of that shit around too. Lots of stuff. If you go through my playlists, you're gonna end up a more well-rounded player. Or if you just catch me live, I think you're gonna be doing real well too. So, not a single person has chimed in with a comment or question since I kind of rang the bell. So I'm going to take that as my cue to leave. And the 19 people that are here, I want to thank you very much for watching us live. And I see that I'm watching the actual thing here. I wonder whether or not that's out of time. Okay, let's see how long the delay is here. I'm looking at my image here and see when that wave takes place. It's definitely a delay from when I do stuff to when it appears on the thing here. All right, well, yeah, so, all right. I don't see anybody do anything. All right, so I'm going to tune out, and maybe I'll just take this out with a little live jam. All right, later. Bye.